We are here with Lucy, who is a 5-year-old Clydesdale mare that has come back from some serious boot camp after exhibiting some behavioural issues with her owner. So Lucy was broken in around 12 months ago, maybe a little under, and while she was prepared very well for her undersaddle work by the breaker, she did only spend 6 weeks there, so her training was limited to that 6 week level. So what I mean by that is that the breaker prepared her to a horse that's been broken in for 6 weeks. So had she stayed for a few weeks longer or been handed over to the boot camp trainers, then I believe she would have been further along with her training now, and this situation that occurred with her owner may have been avoided. However, hindsight's a good thing. So while Lucy was at the breaker, she did learn to go forward, walk, trot, and canter, um, and obviously steer, etc. But she was traveling in a very unbalanced frame and was traveling slightly on the forehand, and she's not straight. So that does make her more difficult to steer. She's not balanced. So all of those things make it more difficult to control her if an issue occurs. So these issues were actually identified at boot camp, and when the trainer did try to address the contact issue, there was some protest from Lucy, but her Clydesdale work ethic has shined through, and as you can see here, she's happily submitting to the contact and walking around in a nice, soft frame. Coming back from boot camp, already Lucy has started to travel in a more uphill balanced frame. However, as you can see with that transition, she struggles to maintain that frame, and the Kula Lunge will not hold her in a round frame because the clip slides on the side reins to always allow them to get their head up if they want to. It's very dangerous to try and hold a horse's head in position. What you want to do is engage the hindquarters, lift the back, lift the thoracic sling, which then drops the pole. So you can see here Lucy comes down for a moment, then she'll go back up again, and she's hollow. She is less on the forehand than when she went to boot camp, definitely, and more engaged. However, you can see that she is wanting to bulge a little out of that right shoulder. And that canter is a little bit full beat. However, she actually hasn't done a lot of canter. Her owner didn't canter her before boot camp under saddle, or maybe she had one little canter and that's about it. So she has not had a lot of canter practice. So this is something that we can develop on the long reins in the Kula Lunge, so she is more comfortable for her owner to canter under saddle, because I can guarantee you that canter is not going to be comfortable to ride right now. There's a little nose tilt, it's forebeady, she's not engaging her inside hind leg, and she's struggling to maintain the canter on the circle. So rather than worrying about her maintaining the canter, I'd rather reward her for giving me some canter, and then we build on that canter. Now, if you look at the contact of the side reins, I do have a little bit more contact than what I normally would for a new horse coming to us, but that's because Lucy was actually worked in the Kula Lunge prior to going to the breaker. So the side reins would have been a little bit loose than what I've got them, so they wouldn't have been as effective. But they are still looser than I want them to be now. I will adjust them during the session. And you saw from that canter transition, the first canter transition to the right, she struck off with both hind legs and ended up a little bit, well, very unbalanced in the canter. And that there, she's napping towards the gate, which is fine. It's normal. It's something they do. So we've had a few of these issues of her napping towards gate, wanting to fall out of the outside shoulder and just be argy-bargy. But my goal for today's session, whoop, there we go again, is to keep her going forward and get her past that gateway. So basically, she's not strong. She's struggling with this work a bit. So she's looking for a good mare. A little bit of, yes, look at that. So she was just looking for a little bit of an exit strategy. And you can see that canter has just lifted up there. And it became 3 beat. And then she just went like, no, no, we don't do that. So I don't put the whip in play unless I need to. I try to keep it behind me so I can escalate the whip if I need it. When you're training a horse, you don't go in all guns blazing. You start quiet and you escalate, and that is a disunited canter. So what I mean by disunited is she's cantering with on the right lead in front, and then her back legs are cantering as if she was on the back lead. So she's completely disunited. Now this is happening because she's not balanced and connected. But the only way she's going to become balanced and connected is if we keep doing this until she gets it right. Because this isn't comfortable for her to canter disunited. Good girl, that's better. So we just keep trying, keep asking for little increments of canter. And you'll see that if she does go to nap out, I go forward with her. I go forward because I want her to keep going forward. So if I plant my feet and don't move, that's putting the handbrake on. So you're always wanting to push the horse forward, out, around you. You see she's trying to nap out. I've got a little bit more outside rein. I've managed to keep her in front of me. And that was a good transition without her actually falling out this time. Much better. I like to keep changing direction as well. Once we've accomplished something on one side, I like to change back to the other side to try and develop that same connection. Now, as you can see, that back is starting to lift and swing more, and she's getting more engagement from behind. She's got some lovely downward transitions. Her owner tells me that she can go from canter to a dead set hold. And look at that trot. That back is starting to lift, and we're starting to get some swing and some self-carriage and some elevation. All the dressage buzzwords because Linda, in case you're watching there, we have plans for you in the dressage world. Very good transition. Now transitions are fantastic for engaging the back end. The little hollow coming back into trot. But, as I said, the Kula Lunge will not hold the head down. We're looking for her to lift and engage herself. Now she's not a strong mare yet. She's only had maybe 6 weeks of root camp. So she's got to develop that strength. Now I've just shortened the side reins a couple of centimetres to try and support her a little bit more now. So you always want to start off looser with side reins and tighten them by a degree. So there's no stress or panic caused from the horse feeling like it's being restricted in a contact. Now she's wanting to fall a little on that, actually on that inside shoulder now. And it's having a bit of trouble keeping her straight. Now when a horse isn't straight, they're losing power. So what I mean by straight is her body from poll to tail needs to be following that line that she's traveling on. So if she's falling in or out of the inside shoulder or swinging the hindquarters, she's losing power. So it's more difficult for her to stay going forward. And just bring in that shoulder around a little bit because I don't have a lot of control over that outside shoulder right now. And Lucy being the fabulous Clydesdale that she is, like doing one of those sort of, I don't know if you've seen horses in the carts, how they turn. She's sort of turning like she would if she was in those, the bars, I think you call them. So it's not entirely what I want, but I also don't want her leading, like falling out of the outside shoulder or leading with the inside shoulder. I want her body from pole to tail to be following that curved line that she's traveling on. Now she's actually got a beautiful mouth. She's really good to steer. But what the trainers have said, and what I felt as well, is we were sort of tricked by that soft mouth because she's got a soft mouth, but she's just there. When you actually ask her to take the contact, that's when she's a little unwilling. And you'll see there she's wanting to lead with that right shoulder around, which is not correct, makes her unbalanced, more difficult to ride, and more difficult to steer. So there's being soft in the contact and there's being too soft. So they have to be able to take a contact and then mouth that bit. And ideally you want the weight of about half a cup of coffee in your hand. So not so much on the long reins. I use the Kula Lunge to take the weight. So the weight in the side reins of the Kula Lunge should be the equivalent to about half a cup of coffee in each side rein. And then I would like a lighter contact on the long reins. So if I've got to have a heavy contact, it means that she's leaning on the contact or bracing, or she's not balanced and working in self-carriage. So I want to work less hard to get more out of Lucy is the goal. That's starting to look straighter. So what I'm actually doing is little vibrates or little tugs with my inside rein. I'm keeping a contact with my outside rein. So I'm sort of saying steady with my outside rein to keep the shoulder out, and then it'll vibrate with my inside rein to soften the contact to the inside. So it's a steady out, soften in, steady out, soften in. And that's a continuous at the moment because she's wanting to lead with that right shoulder. That's better there. And there you'll see it again, that right shoulder's leading. So just bring her back to walk to correct her, then ask her to go on again. Definitely a harder side. There you go, you'll see my right hander in little tugs. So it's just a very little tug. By the time it gets to the bit, you'll barely feel it, and that's the idea, because don't forget they can feel a fly on their flank. So I want, yes, good girl, that's what we want. See that pole start to drop because that back's lifting up. So you're always looking to the back end to see what's happening behind to what happens in front, rather than focusing on, oh, their head's coming down. What's happening behind the saddler, in this case, behind the roller. So as you can see, Lucy's read the textbook. She's starting to swing through the body, travel more straight now. So we're getting towards the end of our training session. This training session was well over 20 minutes because I spent a lot of time and walk at the beginning, just getting her soft, making sure she's soft off each rein, soft across the back. And then I actually warmed her down over the trot poles. Sorry, well, the trot walk kind of poles. I don't know what that was, just a little blip. So I'm going to upload that as a separate video so you can see what I did. And that's it for us for today's training session. If you found this helpful, please subscribe to our channel, Kula Lunge. And thank you for watching.